It's Maine Coast Life. I'm the editor, Austin Surrett. Maine is infamous for having unwritten rules about its culture. Most times, the offender suffers simply an eye roll or a sassy remark from a local. But in another universe, those crimes against Maine cultural standards could land you behind bars. OGT PD is the debut film short directed by Mariah, a multi-hyphenate performer both on stage and on screen. Her numerous theater credits include performances at the New York City Fringe Festival, the Yale Rep in New Haven, Connecticut, and Ron Colley's Apollo Theater in Dusseldorf, Germany. She's appeared in many short films such as Out of Focus, The End of You and I, and Baby Shoes. OGT PD will be the first film kicking off opening night at the Vacationland Film Festival at City Theater in Biddeford on Friday, August 21st. Mariah, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. Now, for those that don't know, and this is a short film, it's just under 7 minutes, so if you can give me an understanding of what OGT PD is, without any spoilers. I know, and I had noticed that as I was trying to rehearse this too, and I get tongue-tied in my regular life anyways, so this, of course, wasn't making it easy or anything, but give a brief summary about what it's about.
It is about a woman who is come to Maine, specifically to Ogunquit, Maine, for her first Maine summer trip. And so she is unfamiliar with some of the very special qualities that are unique to Maine, behaviors, food items, just things that if you've been coming to Maine for a long time like I have, there are things you look forward to every year because you can only get them in Maine, but she doesn't know. So unknowingly, she breaks a lot of rules and she gets into some trouble with the PD.
Yes.
Of OGT.
Of OGT, yeah. Well, obviously, you come up in Vacation in Ogunquit. What was the inspiration behind the film itself?
Yeah, I mean, I've been coming to Ogunquit since I was a kid. So, I mean, I grew up in Texas and Ohio, so I wasn't anywhere close. That was our annual pilgrimage because it's something my parents had done when they were young. So anyway, it was something I look forward to, every year. And it feels like a place that hasn't really changed too much in my eyes. And I love that. It's just a place I always feel very safe. So I couldn't imagine, high crimes happening in Ogunquit. So I just thought the juxtaposition of those two things would be a lot of fun to play with.
I live down in York County, so I'm passing through Ogunquit quite often, and it took me upwards of almost 30 years of vacationing myself to even know where the Ogunquit Police Department actually was in Maine.
Where is it?
I've seen parking garages that are bigger than that police station. So when you were conceptualizing the film, what were some of the things that really took off for you in terms of understanding these kind of unwritten cultural things that Maine is notorious for having? Did you experience any of that yourself growing up here or vacationing here?
No, but it was more like, so there's certain foods that I would always look forward to in Maine. And I think Maine kind of, in my eyes, coming there from outside, it would just kind of pride itself, lobster roll, for example. And then here in Connecticut, we prepare it a different way.
Sacrilege.
I mean, it's sacrilege. That's how I felt. I felt like it was a crime. And then to go, for example, to Ogunquit, and then to see the Connecticut way has now made it onto the main menu. I don't know about that. Think it needs to be examined. So I guess what I'm saying is, even though I play the criminal in the film, it's really, I really am the police officer because I think, as I was just saying, one of the things I love about Ogunquit and Maine is it just feels so familiar, and in my eyes, it just feels like it hasn't changed since I was a kid. And I love that about it. So whenever I see, things changing like that or the rules getting broken, I'm kind of like the PD coming down on it. And I guess that was part of the inspiration for the film.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. Again, even as somebody who wasn't born here but had moved up here, you tend to get a little defensive, especially when you've earned your spot in how you behave around here, and being respectful to the locals. That when it's almost like when people don't behave a certain way, the newcomers or the people who the regular vacationers are the ones who are the more like intense rule followers, and
That's right.
they're the ones that are given the hard line.
Uh-huh. I'm giving the side-eye glances. Who are these newcomers to vacationing to Maine for the first time? I don't know about that. They don't know. So yeah, it's kind of fun because I get to play both sides of it and have a little fun with that.
In any point in filming the short film, did you speak with any of the actual Algonquin police officers at all?
We did not.
Interesting. Okay.
We did not.
Well, hopefully those
That's
folks
right.
will be in the crowd at
I
Vacationland Film
hope
Festival.
So, and I hope that they can laugh along with us, right?
Exactly.
What do we know? We're making this film. What do we know? We're just having a little fun with the parody of it all. Nothing to take away from their service, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And we respect them very, very much. But if you do need ideas for a quota or something like that to meet department goals, definitely check out Mariah's film.
That's great. I just hope it will, it's always great. I mean, Algonquin's one of my favorite places on earth, and I love Maine. And I also just wanted to make the film feels very niche, Maine and Maine humor. I feel like if you've spent summers in Maine, you enjoy it, you're going to get the jokes. And if you haven't, you might not, right? That's why we wanted to submit to the Vacationland Film Festival. That's why we're so excited about that. And we're so incredibly honored to be playing there in Maine, to a Maine crowd who hopefully enjoy it and appreciate it. So we wanted to absolutely anything to get the word out about our favorite place. We love to do it and celebrate it and lift it up.
Transitioning over to you for a little bit. So obviously, as you mentioned, you act in the film as well. You helped co-write it and co-direct it. But primarily, you're an actor, actress.
Sure.
What was it like transitioning from an on-camera role to off-camera?
Well, it was really exciting. I mean, for me, so much of the directing, happened in the editing process and really putting the story together, and that was really exciting for me. Of course, as we were doing the shoots, each day I was watching what was happening, seeing if it was working. We actually had one location and one actual potential storyline that we were going to follow between the criminal and the police officer, and we decided. It's not the story. So a lot of, the writing and the directing becomes, they say you got to kill your babies. You got to, these things that you think are going to be so great, but you got to let them go for the ultimate story. So, but I really enjoyed that. And especially with a short film, you got to trim all the fat and take all the air out, and you got to get right to it and just keep it moving and keep it changing, hopefully, so that your audience will stay engaged, and the very quick ride that it is. And I had a lot of fun with the challenge of that. But yes, this was my first time directing. I have done some co-writing before, but primarily an actor. And I started acting very young, actually as a child. So I've been at it a while.
Not to skip ahead too much, but
yeah.
You had mentioned that there were some things that you were cutting out, obviously, killing your babies or that whole editing trope. I always mess it up, and it always looks very, very poor on me. But did you set out with the intention to make a short film on purpose? Were there any parameters for that? Or did you feel like that was the appropriate amount of time to tell that particular story?
Yeah, no, we definitely wanted to do a short from the beginning. I mean, I have done a feature film and I've done a ton of theater, but I've really fallen in love with short films as a medium. So that's how we wanted to do it. So I'm used to plays, right? And I'm actually a professor of acting. I've taught acting at the college level for many years here in Connecticut.
Where at, if you don't mind my asking?
It's at Quinnipiac University,
okay.
Which is in Hamden. It's near New Haven. We have a huge film school, actually. It's the Ed McMahon School of Film, if you can believe that. So I work with a lot of film students, and but classic dramatic structure, like a play, right? You have something, you kind of have the stasis, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden, the protagonist is on this long journey of challenges, and at the end, they either get what they want, or they're forced to stop trying, right? And that's the journey, and that could take 2 hours or more if we're going with the Greeks or something like that. And that's what you see in a lot of films. I mean, even like an Adam Sandler film, right? I could show that in a classroom, like Happy Gilmore. It's like same thing. It's the same. And I love with film, it's more we get to know the character just instantly, and then they have a challenge, right? Either external or something in themselves in a short film. And then it seems like it brings us to the moment of potential, and that's over. Right. So we don't necessarily know what's going to happen after the climax. Right. I think it leaves a lot to the imagination. Right. We meet them very quickly. We see them navigate this one particular challenge, and then, right. And I love that. I'm excited about that. So we knew we wanted to do that for our film. And then actually, since we shot this film last summer, we've all been working on a couple of different projects as well, always in the short film genre. So
Just out of curiosity, you know, obviously you had split time between theatrical productions and acting in these short films. And for your theater credits, were those like, you know, sort of 3-act theater productions, or were those also kind of 1-act
no,
accelerated?
yeah. Well, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, a couple of things. I mean, primarily, full length plays. So, Shakespeare, Ibsen, Neil Simon, no, I mean, I really was a theater kid, and that's what I went to study. I studied acting at NYU, and then I got my MFA in acting at Brown, and I, doing tons and tons of theater all the way, but I did actually, it's not here anymore, but for 10 years, I was a co-founder of a theater company, actually, a professional theater company in New Haven. And something that we got into as a company, we developed this program called Acting Out. And we would partner with, because we wanted to do site-specific theater, which is kind of like one of the cool things I'm loving about film. It's all like happening at the site. It's not a set of the beach in Ogunquit. It is the beach. So, but with our theater company, we would partner with a local business, and then we would commission 4 writers to write a 10-minute play that took place someplace in that business. And then we would move the audience through the venue, and they would see these short little stories unfolding. So if it was like at a hotel, for example, that had a bar and an art gallery and a check-in counter, the plays would take place while the business was open.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So that's real like gonzo storytelling right there, just being right in the weeds of it.
Yeah, I mean everyone's in on it, and the business. In that case, we did, of course, talk to the business owner and got our agreement and got their buy-in. But they loved it because it really gives. It gave their business a way to shine in a new way, or for people to see that place in a way that they weren't used to thinking about it, and they were really taken with that. So so that was something that we did for many years and that I really enjoyed. And of course that really compressed structure, which is very engaging, that I love so much about short films. Of course, that in a 10-minute play, you got to get right to it, right to the conflict. And something's got to spark, and something's got to happen, and something's got to just bring to the point of resolve, and then it's ephemeral, right? Then it's off.
Absolutely. And so do you think that there is something to the length between those two mediums? And I guess what I mean by that is, for some of the full-length theater productions that you've done, obviously the accelerated plays that you had just mentioned, but mostly, kind of the longer feature plays, as an actor, or even in just the way that you think about the creative process, is there something to that timing that makes it a little bit more, it makes a little bit more sense to you to have a full play versus on the film side having something that's a little bit on the shorter side? Like, how do you sort of discern between those two worlds?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I kind of feel like everyone's attention span is really getting shorter, right? Like kind of everybody.
Did you say something?
And it's because of the screens, right? Like we're constantly like with the phones and the screens and the new information, And I feel like, gosh, I mean, like you go to see a play now, like a modern play, a lot of them are like 90 minutes straight through. They don't even take an intermission. I feel like it's a way that it's like they're adapting to the fact
Mm,
that our attention span is like we need our stories in shorter and smaller bites.
mm.
I mean, that's something that's really happening in theater, and of course there's the Odyssey, right? Which
Right,
is like
right.
lots of little stories and just a feast for the eyes, and the IMAX and all. So of course there's exceptions to the rules, but I mean that is something I'm seeing. The writing is really really changing. I did a play several years ago called Death Trap. I don't even know it, but it's so much fun. And it's a play that like people jump. I mean, it's thrilling. I mean, people are screaming and jumping out of their chairs multiple times. I mean, I don't know. It's very hard to get that in a theater. Get people jumping and screaming like you get in a horror film all the time. But this is like a fight, and they actually made it into a film. I think starring like Michael Caine and Christopher Reeves. That's how old this play is. But I did this play a couple of years ago, and I think it was written in the 70s, and it still holds up in terms of the jump scares. But what doesn't hold up, because for a modern audience, it's just like we're used to hearing things differently. There would be like a line and a joke, and then more of the scene, and then there would be like a callback to that joke,
Hmm.
and no one
Yeah.
would laugh because it's almost like they forgot that no, they forgot that reference or something, right?
Wow.
And I think that that's the way, years ago, things we could really like, it's like a desk set, this play could go on for hours and we could just sit there with you. But a modern audience, I think, we're just, it's the changing, the engaging. And I think that something I tell my acting students who are going up for auditioning, right? And there used to be we would ask for a 2-minute monologue, for example, and it was someone would come in for an audition. Now people only want 60 seconds to a minute, or 60 seconds or 90 seconds. That's it. I think it's because the detention span of 2 minutes is too long. So we just want, but within that, I say as an actor, you cannot bemoan the fact that, people, their minds wander a little, faster than they used to. You've got to create variety, right?
Mm,
How much variety can you infuse into this 90 seconds, right? And
mm.
so that's something I work with my students about, like just bringing variety. So, maybe that's physical variety, where the way you're using the space, the oral variety, like your tempo, like how fast or how slow, I mean, things like that, just to work on your audience and really stay ahead of them and keep them engaged, even in like, just a minute and a half. So those are just some changes that I'm noticing in my craft, as a theater practitioner, just the way stories are being told, right? It's like, it's adapting to the times that we're living in, which are just everything is changing, and news and content is coming at us so much quicker. And so, I mean, that's like one of the things I really am excited about with the short films. As much as I loved sitting through the Odyssey, and it was just gorgeous, love the experience of that. But oh my goodness, sit me down with a few short films and give me a few short stories and just let me be a voyeur and look into that person's life just for a moment and get rooting for them so quickly. That's a real joy for me
Yeah.
as an audience member.
Yeah, instead of looking, through the windows of the same exact house, it's almost like you're looking through the windows at like a hotel or something like that. Just to,
Ah.
have the really creepy voyeur, picture to put it in all of your
Right.
heads.
No, but that would be a fun film. That would be like the fun shorts, the shorts of
Uh,
the right. No, it's you're so right. I love that metaphor.
And and I think something's interesting too because you brought up the Odyssey, and I was when I think it's understood that people are, like you said, consuming through social media more, and there's always an expectation to capture someone's attention in 6 seconds or 7 seconds or 8 seconds. But it also seems like we're also in an era now where a lot of folks who put videos up on YouTube or on TikTok or something like that, they gather enough attention to where the studios want to make full-length features with these people, and they say yes
Mm.
to it. So it's almost they're going in a complete opposite trajectory where they're using the short films to capture the opportunity to tell a full-length feature, almost completely being contradictory to the trend of how they even got started in the first place. Where do you see the line for a good story? Do you think that there is a specific limit that you just cannot tell a good story in this amount of time?
Like too short?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think people are so fascinating. I guess I get hooked on characters. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So if you could do like a character profile in like 10 seconds
yeah,
or
like I
something
get
like that.
invested in that person, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what hooks me. I think it is. Maybe that's because I'm an actor and that's the way I've been processing life and the world since I was 8 years old. But so I think because of that, I mean that's what hooks me. And I mean if it's a really interesting, complicated, flawed human, like so many of us are, right? Like I can stay with you for such a long time, or I can just see you in like this one moment where you have this little breakthrough. That's thrilling too, right? Yeah.
Having that curiosity of where is this character going next
Hmm.
versus leaving it so vague and
Right.
being like, I don't know why the hell did this just ended right here.
Yeah. Yeah. I love things, and this is in plays and films. And one thing I love to see is when I've been following a character and kind of rooting for them for a little bit, and then something kind of shocking happens at the end, right? Like that's something that we tried to do at the end of our film. Something kind of shocking happens, and then I have to imagine the next act. Like I have to, it's not that they've kind of left me with all these untidy endings and I don't know what's going on. No, something's going on. It's concrete. It's something big. And now I have to imagine the next chapter for that person. That's something I think is really fun because that gets people talking. I guess that's one of the things I love about, about theater and films is I want to go out and talk about what I just saw. Talk about
Yeah.
that character, talk about what happened to them. What do you think? Well, what do you think? Just to get people to have that perspective. And sometimes when, it's all a little bit of a tidy ending, I feel like sometimes we lose a little bit of that. So I like those complicated, thorny endings.
Well, I definitely got that impression with OGT PD for sure. Although I did find the ending very satisfying, which
Oh,
was
good.
fantastic.
Thanks.
Just a couple more questions.
Sure.
So, last thing I'll ask about the short films. So, and this might just be my opinion, but to me, the short films always seemed like something that was a little bit more of a niche type of genre, in the same way that the television miniseries was. It sort of had like this place in television, and then all of a sudden, once we got to the streaming age, it seemed like miniseries really blew up and
Mm.
became more positive, like more well received, had a little bit more credibility. And I feel like short films are the same way. People used to die for feature films and stuff like that, but it seems like short films are really having a heyday nowadays with being able to tell a coherent story that is a little bit more elaborate than just a TikTok video or something like that. Have you noticed that there has been an increased interest in that art form? Has it always been there? Is that something that you talk to your students about a lot?
Yeah. It's a really good question. I mean, I wonder if there has been, I would be interested to see the numbers, right? In terms of like how many short films are available, how many festivals are celebrating short films, have those expanded? I feel like there are more festivals. I feel like there are more opportunities for shorts. I mean, shorts, of course, are much more accessible. Like it's an accessible project, right? I mean, I feel like what's going on with the big studio films is really changing, right? I think the pandemic had a tremendous effect on obviously the way that we're consuming media. Um, how are we willing? And talk about attention span. Are we willing to go sit in a theater? Unfortunately, a lot of people are like, it kind of changed their routine. and it hasn't quite right changed back. So I wonder if some of the things that we've already talked about right in this discussion, just like the changing times, changing attention span, maybe more opportunities for short filmmakers are arising. Some of those things are really contributing to what it does seem to be a bit of a shift, at least from, and I don't know if you were saying that you see it that way too, but that there is more, more opportunities for short filmmakers to show their work, and potentially a bit more respect for the art form now in these changing times, which excites me, because those are the kinds of films I'm very excited to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things. I mean, it could be one of two things. Maybe perhaps I've just seen it more in the case of, like the Vacationland Film Festival, where there are a lot of opportunities. And actually, a lot of the film festivals up in Maine do have a narrative short or a documentary short specific category for those. And like you said, that could be the launching point for somebody who's very low on budget, or no budget whatsoever, to be able to get an idea out there. And if you can perfect a story in 6-7 minutes, that could really say something about the way that you treat your art and how you can expand moving forward. Or I could have just made all of that up.
It feels right. It feels right. Like nothing you're saying. That feels like when I don't know if it's just kind of what I want to see, but I do feel like, it is what it is. My husband and I, we have our son who's a teenager, and it's like, we're like, this is so cool, this time you're living in, because, we didn't have YouTube. And, like just the idea that you could make something and put it out there, and people you don't even know could see it, and then it could go somewhere. Like if you're creating a character, if you're interested in this, like you could really do something with that, and maybe someone would get interested in the character in the short and say, well, let's expand that, let's see that world. What do they live in? Who's in that world with them? I mean, those opportunities are so exciting and inspiring. So even though we didn't have it when we were, teenage artists, right? We're really excited about it now, and it's inspiring us to put our shorts out there.
It's not just for kids anymore.
It's right. It's an inspiring art form, or inspiring medium for all of us. Yeah.
All right, last question. I'm curious, and it could be something that maybe you creeped into the film, or something that you left out because it hit too close to home. But if you were going to get a citation from an Algonquin police officer, what would be the number one offense you would be nabbed for?
Oh boy. That's such a good question. For me, oh man. What would I get nabbed for? I don't know. I'm such a good citizen. I need to join the ranks, the police department.
I was just going to say, well, maybe even impersonating a police officer,
That's right.
You could
That's right. You
buy
got to
a
do
badge
what
at
you
a party
gotta do
store.
to keep your place the way you want it, Some of these people today.
Yeah, those damn people coming in. We were already here first.
Do you go to Algonquin? Do you spend time there?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you swim in the ocean and the river?
Mm-hmm.
Do you swim in the ocean and the river with a wetsuit on? Or do you just go for it?
I'd like to think that I just go for it, but I'm also thinking of all the people who I've heard say that they do those penguin plunges and early morning plunges and winter plunges.
Yeah.
So there's always somebody out there who's going to make you feel like a wimp. So the answer is yes, I do jump in without sans wetsuit. But I also just like the ocean in general, but unfortunately, I do. All my wetsuits are black.
Yeah.
So I've heard that is not a good thing, especially when the sharks up here, you get mistaken for seals.
Do you know you can wear
like
a little bracelet to keep the sharks away?
I asked for one of those for Christmas, and I did not get it, which
Oh.
makes me wonder what my in-laws and my parents think of me.
Very good. Very
But
good.
I heard they're changing it now. It's like in Australia or something, they're making the wetsuits a neon color
Oh, I
instead
love that.
to avoid. Yeah, which
I love that.
it's one of those things like you think like, why the hell didn't somebody come up with that? But then when I
Yeah.
heard it for the first time, I was like, oh my God, why didn't anybody think of that?
Brilliant. Well, I as I've gotten a little older, I am wetsuit only all the time, and
Okay.
and I am with my shark bracelet, and I'm gonna, I mean, on every limb, no, here we are, and I'm gonna go for that neon suit. That sounds great because boogie boarding in Ogunquit, I mean, man, it's just good, clean fun, good, clean
That's
fun,
tradition.
and something I
That
look
is-
forward to every year, and I'll do it for hours. I love it, love it.
Well, there's still plenty of time, especially coming all the way up in August too.
Yep.
There's still plenty of time for that. Mariah Sage's debut short film, OGT PD, will be screening at the Vacationland Film Festival at the City Theater in Biddeford on Friday, August 21st at 6 p.m. The festival itself runs through Saturday, August 22nd, and Sunday, August 23rd. Mariah, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank